Hey guys, welcome to another one of my videos. Today we're going to talk about this Windows 7 support ending. Well, I say ending, it has ended. I know this video is a little late, so I'm sorry about that, because to be honest, Windows 7 support actually did end in January, 14th of January 2020. So yeah, sorry it's a little late, but better late than never. So anyway, what we're going to talk about today is why this video is being made, for example, and also why Windows 7 support has ended and what that means and what you need to do next, pretty much. So as you can see, I've got a Windows 7 VM in front of me right now. And basically, this is no longer supported in effect, this operating system in the style it currently is now, because effectively I've got no LAN connection, so that's theoretically okay to use. Anyway, let me explain what I mean. So effectively, when an operating system is out of support, theoretically that means that it no longer gets Windows updates, it no longer gets any critical security updates to fix any vulnerabilities that could be in the operating system that could cause anything that could cause a hacker or any malicious software to basically exploit and to basically damage your operating system and files and whatnot. So obviously the longer you leave this with the computer in this state, the more likelihood is that your computer will become infected. Obviously, it won't just become infected just like that, unlikely, unless you have your PC directly exposed to the internet. If it's behind a firewall, obviously in your own home, it's unlikely it's just going to get infected just like that. But it'll only get infected if you go. It'll more likely to get infected easier if you're browsing the internet with it. The time it goes on, and you tend to keep using Windows 7, the more likelihood your computer will become infected with a virus or anything like that, because there's no security patches or any updates to prevent that from happening, to fix some loopholes that might be in the operating system or the software that you use. What else does it mean? Basically, effectively, software developers will stop creating updates for applications that run on Windows 7. So I know Chrome's already stopped this already, as far as I'm aware, for Google Chrome. So basically, you're on an older version of Google Chrome. So if then it comes out finds a massive vulnerability in the last version that was available for Windows 7, you're stuck basically. You can't update that because because it's Google don't no longer support Chrome on that operating system anymore. So basically, you're left with this vulnerability that you could be exploited potentially, and it could be a bad one. It might not be. It depends what the vulnerability is really. And that could potentially lead to hackers, taking your details potentially. If you don't upgrade your Windows or your browser on your computer. Obviously, if you've got Windows 7, you're not going to be able to do that very easily. What else does it mean? Basically, effectively, hardware as well support in drivers for those. So you might get a new printer, for example, a new HP Envy printer I'm just using, for example. You might get one of them. I'm not saying they have stock Windows 7 support, I'm not too sure about them yet, but for example, if you've got a new HP Envy printer and HP decided to no longer make drivers for Windows 7, effectively you can't install it on your PC anymore. That's it, you can't use it with your PC, and you might be thinking, well, why the hell is this not working? It's because the drives aren't designed for this operating system anymore, it won't work with it. So effectively, you're stuck again. So you can't do it. So basically, what that means is when an operating system is out of support, effectively things will stop working for it effectively over time, and it'll become a security risk and a big security vulnerability as time goes on. Now I know Windows 7 is a well-loved operating system. It's probably still used around the world in many places, and obviously they should look at upgrading it, and I recommend you do the same as well. And obviously I know you might have seen a recent video of mine from the setup of Google Chromecast and Windows 7 PC in the background, but that's not my PC, that's someone else's PC, and they have been informed to upgrade, but it's completely up to their choice, and it's their risk to continue if you wish to. So basically, to get around this, there's not many major options you can do really. All you can do is you can keep Windows 7 as it is. If you want to keep using Windows 7, that's absolutely fine. So you can go ahead and completely use it on the internet if you want. I don't recommend that, and it's not recommended at all that you continue to do this because of the lack of updates and support for this operating system. Obviously, it's completely your call. If you get any issues, any viruses or anything like that, you're on your own. If you effectively, other methods you can do is upgrade to Windows 10. So I'm going to show you how to effectively to do that. I'm not going to show you how to upgrade it today, but that'll be in a future video. But for now, I'm going to show you how to find the tools to be able to do that. Obviously, it depends on your computer as well, because if yours is a very old Windows 7 device, say you've upgraded it from Windows XP to Windows 7 and then up 7 to 10, it might work potentially. It depends what hardware you've got on your computer. I can't guarantee it's going to work efficiently. I'd say anything that's about 10 years old, I wouldn't try to upgrade to Windows 10. I'd just get a new PC because of the hardware, and they may not be able to cope with Windows 10. Basically, you might know Windows 10 has got very basic hardware requirements, a bit like Windows 7 did. Now that doesn't mean it's going to work that well on that. That's just basic minimum requirements. So I wouldn't recommend you use that, like a computer from 10 years ago on Windows 10. Up to you. If that's all you've got and that's all you can afford, then you might have to go with that. But I wouldn't recommend that as an option. So other options is you can basically lock down your Windows Firewall on your Windows 7 device to prevent the internet from working on it, basically. So that will basically stop any internet traffic coming in and out of the PC, and you just be able to use it as you can, as it was working. And you do this through the Windows Firewall on the Windows 7 device. Or alternatively, you can obviously unplug it from the network. That's completely, like this one now is completely unplugged. It's not actually. It's a virtual machine, this one, but it's not actually plugged in at all. So you can have it like that and just completely run it as it is. You can have it if you're in a small business or a larger business, you can get your network administrators to potentially look at segregating these PCs off into an area where they can't access the internet, but can still access the local network, so to say, if you want to access file shares and whatnot as well. So effectively, that's what it is really. So yes, so obviously I'm going to show you now some information online that you can find out if you want to read a bit more into this. But effectively, so this is where this website here shows you, which is a Microsoft website. It tells you about why Windows 7 support has ended, what this means. So effectively, I've just gone over what this means already, and it specifies what you should do with this. Obviously, they're going to get you to buy whatever you want from there, but obviously it's completely up to you. Most people just want it to get it sorted as easy as they can. So obviously, I'd recommend to do that. Check your specifications of your computer first. Obviously, see if if it'll go to Windows 10. Like I say, if it's 10 years old or so, I'd say anywhere around 10 years old, maybe 8 years old, or to around 8 to 10 years old, or older than that, I wouldn't bother upgrading to Windows 10. Anything younger than that, I'd say you're probably okay. So yes, it kind of the fine line, because I know this PC I'm using now that's on Windows 10 here is 7 years old that I'm using, and it's around 7 anyway, and it works really well still on Windows 10, and it's got Core i5 in it and stuff like that. So some PCs that are on that verge could work really well on Windows 10. It just depends on what the specifications and hardware is. So that's your call, depending on what the hardware specifications. Obviously, I know you might not know what that is, but if you can try and find that out, typing your model number of your computer into Google. If you've got a serial number of the computer, you can type that into. If it's a Dell, you can type the serial number into Dell's support website to try and find out what hardware that has. And because they have a serial tag on them, you can use. HP have a similar sort of thing as well, and you can find out what hardware it has. Alternatively, you can do a basic look of what your hardware, your PC has, by clicking Start and System, and that'll tell you effectively what your PC has within it. So obviously this is the processor my computer has in it, and how much RAM it has. It's 64-bit operating, 60-bit operating system, and it tells you what effective is in it. It's a bit more. You can have a look in Device Manager as well to see what else is in your within your computer as well. You can expand this and see what else is in there. You can have a look at display adapters. I know that's quite an old graphics card if anyone's looking at that. But yes, effectively that's what that you can have a look to see rough specs of your PC as well by doing that. So obviously I'm going to put this link in the description of the video, and that's basically so you can read over that and see what that means. So download Windows 10 if you wish to go down that route. I'd reckon obviously first I'd download the tool for it. It should just work. Windows 7 upgrades to Windows 10. I'd download the tool. That'll run. I'll actually run that for you now. Obviously, hopefully I'm hoping it'll work because it's obviously this is on Windows 10 already. But I'll show you how you run the tool. So you run the tool, and effectively you create the media from here. So it'll tell you to download the Windows 10 ISO, and then after the ISO is downloaded, you just want to run it. Effectively, because it's Windows 7, it doesn't have the ability to mount ISOs in the operating system. So what you'll have to do there is you'll have to use a memory stick and burn it to the memory stick. We're using this tool, and that tool will guide you through this as well. And then basically boot from that USB stick. And I'll go through this in another video in the future, and how to ways of upgrading to Windows 10. And I'll go through that with you. But effectively, that's what the tool will do. You can download Windows 10 that way. And obviously, normally this will be okay. You can download it, and you'll be able to usually use your Windows 7 license key. I say usually, it should just normally work. And I know it works during the free period of Windows 10. I'm not sure if it's still is apparent now, but you might be able to still use your Windows 7 license key, which is normally basically like a little label or sticker on the back of your PC or laptop that has a key, along digit keys in it. I'll show you a picture right up here now. That shows roughly what it looks like, and that key, you just enter that into the Windows 10 activation, which is if I show you on here, it is under here. So you basically enter the product key in there, and that would allow you to do it. Usually what will happen is it activates automatically anyway, because you've already got it pre-activated, so you wouldn't need to. So there you go. So basically you can upgrade the PC. It'll give you the option to do that if you're in Windows 7 as well, assuming there's no issues, because the tool is basically checking prior to that if there's any issues. If it's no issues, it'll let you upgrade it, or you can create the installation media. Obviously I'd probably recommend you can try upgrading. If that doesn't work, you can create the flash drive. Either option you want to do. Probably upgrading would be easier to go straight and undo that, and I'll give you the option if you go upgrade this PC now. We're not actually going to do it, but if it gives you the option, it can't. So mine can't do it because I've already got the latest version of Windows 10 on it, so effectively that won't work for me. But if you wanted to do that, it'll give you the options. You want to keep the files, I'll go through that in another video anyway. But effectively that's what that tool does. Another way of getting Windows 10 is by obviously going to Amazon, a reputable retailer that sells stuff, obviously. But yes, I would never buy Windows 10 off eBay or anywhere else, or a key off Windows 10 or anything, from any other thing other than a good seller like Amazon or eBay or Scan Computers or that sort of retailers. I wouldn't go to eBay or any other dodgy site to buy keys or Windows 10 software, because you basically, them keys most likely, I'm not guaranteeing they will be 100%, but I'm just basically more likely being stolen. So obviously them keys will have been stolen from somewhere, and effectively you're contributing to theft by doing that, by buying them. So you're liable as well. Potentially you could even get arrested for it if you found out. Obviously most people aren't aware of that and they just buy them, but usually you might get away with it, but I would not recommend it at all. I say do not do that to avoid any potential issues with this. Obviously you buy Windows 10 through here. It's £89. This is for the home version of Windows 10, so you can buy it there as well. And there's other options as well, Windows 10 Professional, which is actually ironically cheaper. So if you wanted to get that, you could do. And that's how you would basically buy them, and you install it the similar way to how we were going to upgrade Windows 10 in a future video. So effectively, yes, that's how you find how to download Windows 10. I'd still, like I say earlier, I'd recommend you upgrade to Windows 10 as soon as you can. Really, the longer you leave it, the more it becomes a security vulnerability to Windows 7. So I'd recommend you upgrade straight away before things stop supporting for it, and you'll wonder why. You'll get frustrated why things can't work or won't install on Windows 7. Or if you're trying to get Windows updates and they're not installing anymore, you'll be wondering why that is. Well, that's because obviously Microsoft's pulled the support plug on it now. So obviously, there's obviously no technical support from Microsoft. Not that their support's great anyway, but yeah, if you wanted to get any support from Microsoft, you wouldn't get much from them either. because obviously they don't support it anymore. You get much in terms of nothing. So yes, I wouldn't recommend keeping an operating system that's no longer needed. Obviously, if you've got a piece of software that only works on Windows 7, as long as you can isolate that PC from the internet somehow, then I would recommend you go down that route. And yeah, basically you can keep the Windows 7 device as long as it's not on the internet. That's the main key point. As long as it's not on the internet, you can keep your Windows 7 device as much as you want and do whatever you want with it. So this is not saying you need to fully do it. It depends. You do need to do it as long as if you use the computer on the internet, that's all you use it for. Then yes, you need to upgrade it. But if you can take it off the internet and don't need to use the internet on a Windows 7 device, then yes, pull the internet and keep the Windows 7 device as it is. So yes, I hope that's gave you a bit more of an insight into what you need to do with Windows 7 support ending. I hope you enjoyed this video. Obviously, like, comment, and subscribe, and obviously if you can any tips if you would like to see any videos or anything like that, just let me know and we can look into doing that. So thank you very much, and see you next time.